The wind flew open her wedding gown as they were about to bless the couple. Everyone froze. The bride did not have a woman's shape. Rather, she had a bulge in between her legs. Was she a man, or were their eyes deceiving them? This was how it all started. The bride's name was Ada. She stood at the wedding compound in her white wedding gown, her face glowing, but the world around her shattered. They had uncovered what no one expected, something she had hidden all along. The wedding compound fell silent. The guests stopped clapping. The music stopped. No one spoke. No one blinked. Only cold, shocked silence. She was the only one left looking calm, heart pounding like mad. This day was her dream. Now it was turned to nightmare. After her wedding gown flew open, the whispers started small. One of the old women at the front row was the first to murmur it. She be man, oh! Before anyone could stop it, the whisper had turned into noise. The women at the front started murmuring to each other. The DJ and MC stepped back from their stations in shock. Even the groom stood stiff, unsure whether to believe his eyes or not. His mother grabbed his arms. Obinna, what is this? Is this a joke? She asked, her voice sharp. Obinna couldn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the figure in white and the bulge in between her legs. His bride, his Ada, but now a stranger. Ada's heart pounded. She could hear her own pulse inside her ears. The world was spinning. Still, she stood still, chin raised, hoping they would not dare say what they were thinking. But they did. A man in the crowd shouted, "Remove the veil! Let us see her face properly!" It was chaos after that. The veil came off, and even her face, once praised for its beauty, now looked suspicious to them. Ada tried to speak, tried to explain, but no one wanted words. They wanted answers. They wanted blood. Her father-in-law shouted, "Somebody call the chief!" Ada knew then this wedding was no longer hers. It had become a village matter. The compound grew quiet again, not from peace, but from waiting. Everyone had heard the news by now. The chief was coming. Children ran around, whispering what they had seen. Some said Ada had the chest of a man. Others claimed they saw her urinating, standing up one night. Lies mixed with truth. Fear mixed with shock. By the time the chief's guards entered the compound, even the goats had stopped moving. The chief of Umwele stood tall in his long red cap. His face was hard. His walking stick hit the ground with each step like judgment. He looked at the bride, then at the groom, then at both families. "Who brought shame to my land on this sacred day?" he asked. No one answered. The crowd cleared space for him as he walked straight to Ada. She stood tall, face calm, body still, but her palms were sweating badly. "Who are you?" the chief asked. "I am Ada," she replied, her voice steady. "Are you a woman?" he asked again. She paused, then said, "I am who I am, and I came here to marry." The chief raised his stick. The crowd gasped. He did not hit her, but he pointed it straight at her. "You will talk today in full," he said. Then he ordered, "Sit." The compound turned into a judgment ground, and Ada was now on trial. Ada sat on a small wooden stool, all eyes on her. The chief sat on his throne. His guards stood behind him. Ada's parents were nowhere in sight. The groom's family sat on mats, faces red from shame and anger. The chief spoke first. "If you don't speak the truth, this crowd might tear you apart." Ada looked around. She saw neighbors. She saw her secondary school teacher. She even saw the village tailor who made her wedding gown. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and began. "My name is Adobe. I was born in Makurdi as a boy, but that was never who I truly was." The crowd gasped. "I grew up knowing I wasn't like other boys. I liked things they called for girls. I felt things they didn't understand. I ran away from home at 17 when my father beat me for wearing a wig. I came to Abuja. I worked. I saved. I did what I could to survive. I met Obinna. He convinced me that he loved me and that I should come with him to this village for us to start our lives as couples. Obinna, the groom, suddenly shouted, "So why me? Why me?" Ada turned to him. "I loved you, Obinna. I didn't think I would ever be accepted, but you made me feel normal. You made me feel seen. You told me you loved me. I thought maybe I could finally be accepted for who I am. I thought maybe I could finally be happy." Obinna turned away, his hands on his head. Ada looked back at the chief. "I never planned to hurt anyone. I just wanted a chance, a new life." Silence. No one clapped, but no one spoke either, because something inside them all had shifted. Obinna jumped to his feet. "Chief, please, let me talk." He was shaking. "I don't care about all that she has said," he said. "But what of me? What of the shame I will carry?" He pointed at Ada. "She deceived me. I kissed her. I told her my secrets, and all those while, she was my fellow man." The chief raised his hand. "Calm down." But Obinna did not calm down. "She's not a woman. This marriage is fake. This marriage is a fraud. I want to be cleansed." His mother burst into tears. His younger brother pulled him back, but Obinna was wild. He walked to Ada and said, "I should beat you here, but God will judge you." Ada didn't cry. She simply looked at him and said, "I never meant to shame you." The crowd was divided. Someone shouted, "Send her away." Others whispered, "But she's still human." And somewhere, someone was filming everything. Later that evening, the elders gathered privately. It wasn't just about Ada anymore. It was about the name of the village. "Do we say nothing happened?" One asked. "If we punish her, the world will call us wicked." Another replied. "But if we say it's okay, we invite insults." They argued till the moon rose. Some said she should be sent back to where she came from. Others said she should be allowed to go in peace. No one wanted to be on the wrong side of history. The chief finally said, "Tomorrow we will judge openly, and the gods of our land will bear witness to it all." Ada didn't sleep that night. She was given a small room behind the village square, locked from outside, not because they feared she would run, but because they feared what people would do to her in the dark. Still, the stones came, small ones, thudding against the walls. Someone whispered, "Abomination." Another shouted, "Go back to where you came from." But Ada sat on the floor, holding her knees, staring into the dark. Her white wedding gown lay crumpled beside her, dirty, torn, and useless now. That night, memories came like dreams. She was 10 again, sitting in a Macarty classroom, wearing trousers. One boy threw chalk at her. "Boy, girl," they shouted. She went home that day and stood in front of the mirror, tucked her hair behind her ears, wished she could disappear. Her father came in, saw her wearing lipstick. He beat her with a belt until she passed out. Her mother watched from the corner, doing nothing. From that day, Ada swore she would run, and she did. She survived. She rebuilt. She became who she truly was. Now, in this small village room, the pain felt fresh again, but she did not cry. She had cried all her tears already. By sunrise, the village square was full again. Everyone had come, even those from neighboring towns. The chief's seat was ready. The elder sat beside him. Ada was brought out, her wrists loosely tied, not like a criminal, but not like a bride either. Obinna sat on the opposite bench. His eyes were red, but he looked calmer. The chief stood. He faced the crowd. "Today, we decide not just her fate, but our name as a people," he said. Ada stood as he motioned her forward. "I give you the floor. Say anything you must before we judge." Ada nodded and began. Ada took a deep breath. "My name is Adobe, and I know I don't look like who you expected. I never wanted to shame anyone. I only wanted to live. I did not steal. I did not kill. I only loved. I hid my past because I was afraid. Wouldn't you be? I came here because your son saw me, really saw me, and I believed I could belong somewhere. But if living as myself makes me evil, then I accept your judgment. I just beg you, don't let your fear become hate. That was all. She stepped back. Silence. Then murmurs. Then a young girl stood from the crowd. She was barely 15, dark-skinned with bright eyes. She stood shaking, but loud enough for all to hear. My name is Oyinye, and Ada once paid my school fees without even knowing me. Gasps. She saw me begging outside a supermarket in Wuse. She gave me money and told me I was worth more. Ada turned. She had forgotten, but the girl hadn't. Whatever she is not wicked. She gave me hope. The chief looked at the girl, then at Ada, then back at the crowd. The wind was shifting. Obina's mother, Mama Uju, had kept quiet all morning, but as the girl spoke, she began to sob loudly. She stood up and walked to Ada. The crowd held its breath, but Mama Uju didn't slap her. She touched her shoulder. My son may never forgive you, she said. But me? I saw truth in your eyes that day you cooked for us. You treated me with respect. You never looked down on us. She turned to the crowd. Is this how we pay back goodness now? Whispers turned to nods. Obinna looked away. He was not ready to forgive, but something had changed. The chief stood again. Enough has been said. I will not decide this alone. Today, Umwele will vote by hands and hearts. If you want Ada to leave, raise your hand. A few hands rose, mostly elders. If you want her to stay, raise your hands. This time, hands came from every corner. Women, youths, even some older men. The chief nodded slowly. He raised his staff. Then, let it be known, Umwele is a land that sees truth, even in strange form. She will not marry Obinna, but she will not be stoned either. She is free to stay or go, but with dignity. Even though the vote had passed, not everyone was happy. That night, Ada was visited by Elder Bara. He came alone, holding a lantern. He sat without speaking for a while, then said, Do not mistake silence for acceptance. You may live among us, but not all will forget. Some things take time, sometimes even generations. Ada nodded. I don't expect everyone to understand. I just want peace. The old man sighed and left. And though his words weren't cruel, Ada didn't sleep again that night. 3 days passed. Ada tried to live quietly. She helped Mama Uju on the farm, swept the compound, and avoided the main roads. But then Obinna came. He didn't speak at first, just stood at the door. Then he asked, Why didn't you tell me? Ada said nothing. Then softly, Because I liked how you looked at me, like I was normal. Obinna breathed in hard. I hate that you lied. I know. I still see your smile in my sleep. Silence. Then he walked away. But Ada smiled for the first time in days. He didn't slam the door. The wedding canopy was still hanging at the square. Nobody had removed it. Some children played under it, using it as a shade. Ada walked past it one morning and stopped. She walked up to it and untied the first corner, then the second. Soon others joined. By evening, the canopy was gone. The chief watched from a distance and nodded. Sometimes letting go is how healing starts. 1 week later, Ada was offered a role in the village school, not as a teacher, but to help with hygiene and mentoring girls. At first, some parents protested, but then Onye's father, a respected fisherman, stood up and said, If not for her, my daughter would still be in the streets. She saved her. I believe she can help others. That was enough. Ada started work the next day, and within a month, the girls in the school called her Auntie Ada without hesitation. One evening, Ada found a note tucked under her mat. It had no name. It simply read, You are brave. I don't know if I'll ever understand everything, but you taught me that being honest is harder than lying. Thank you. She read it 3 times and held it to her chest. She didn't cry. She had no tears left, but her chest was full of warmth. Sometimes peace comes not with a loud apology, but with quiet truth. It was time for Umule's annual Yam Festival. Everyone was dancing, drumming, and wearing their best. For the first time, Ada was invited to join the dancers. She wore a red and white wrapper and beads, and when she danced, the crowd cheered. Not because she was perfect, but because she was present. She had stayed, she had endured, and she had become part of the story. Months passed. One morning, a young couple came to Ada's hut. They were strangers from another village. The woman held her stomach, 6 months pregnant. The woman looked anxious. They said, "We heard what you went through. We need help." Ada welcomed them in. She didn't ask for details. She just offered water and listened. Because now her story wasn't just hers anymore. It was a lamp for others. And her village, the one that once rejected her, had become her shelter. The end.